to take me a minute to get this going. Let's just say I had it up, it crashed a few times. YouTube is not cooperating today. So let me see if I can even see chat. Can you guys hear me? Okay, let's see. Trying to get everything set up. Okay, hold on. All right. If you can hear me okay, thumbs up in the chat, please. The orientation looks right. I can flip another light on here in a minute. I didn't think it was overly important, you know, because we're just talking. So, hey, Desiree. Hey, Chero Butter. Hey, Blondie. Hey, Pumpkin and Sand Leaves. Granny Noodles. Hello. I see you, Mischief. All right, let's let everybody. Okay, good. Yeah, it was an absolute shit show. I don't know if you saw it, but I actually scheduled a live, and then it just completely crashed, and so then it tried to. Yeah, it's YouTube is not cooperating today. Hey, Princess Alyssa, good to see you. Pumpkin Sand Leaves. I like that name. Okay, I have to have you up high. Headphones, but I can control. Okay, good. Yeah, like I said, my wireless headphones I use I've been having problems with those, and I end up sounding screechy. Then I was going to use Tiny Mic, but you can hear the paper rustling. It sounds terrible. Probably should try to get one of those wireless mics like what Foodles uses, but we've seen what a mess that could be if you don't do it right. So let me see if I can find where we're at. Thanks for being here, Princess Alyssa. Let's see, did I miss anybody? Not yet. Hey, Frosty, good to see you. So I'm going to do that thing some creators really hate where, you know, I say hi to everybody. Havasu Mom, good to see you. Yep, and I know this is a bad baking and questionable cooking. Not bad baking, not questionable cooking. This is more horrible housekeeping or questionable crafting, let's say. I didn't feel like cooking tonight. So tonight is Slothful and Sewing. But as we all know, Miss Foodie Beauty has, well, it's kind of SSD with her. Not a lot's changed, but I have notes. I figured we could go through them. Let's see. Hey, Wooly, good to see you. I'm waiting for everybody to get in here, so I have to start over with, let me find where we were last time. Let me look. When is the last time we went live? So I can, it was,
I guess that's it.
let's see, what date was that? So September 20th, so anything past September 20th. Oh, I'm wondering, because I started a new notebook. I'm wondering, do I need to use the old notebook? Oh, hold on. I might need to go get the old notebook. Yeah, hold on. I think so. We'll get the last of my notes are in the old notebook, and then we get to go into the new notebook. Sweet, because we haven't been live since September 20th. Okay, perfect. Uno momento. Talk amongst yourself. Hey, Susie Q, thanks for showing up. I'm trying to get myself situated. I'm really disorganized. I'll be right back. All right. I thought, yeah, I knew we started a new notebook, but I didn't realize I hadn't finished reviewing. So September 20th. This stuff in here might be so old we might not even need to mess with it. I just have some general thoughts, you know, on the various things she's done, because it really is a broken record with her. I thought we would point out some things. So, all right. Let's see. All right, it looks like we've got everybody in here. So, let's see. But all right, last question. Okay. So, I'm trying to think. So, how about we start? Yeah, it's basically it's organized chaos. So, and I kind of had my groove going, but then when I set up the live, and it crashed completely, and then it wouldn't let me back in. I was like, oh my god, and it really threw me off. So I spent about 20 minutes messing with that, and it was a little upsetting. Let's see. Okay, I'm just making sure, and everybody can see me okay? Yes, notebook time. So the last time I went live, I know I'll keep repeating myself. You guys know that's how I roll. I'm not really a very organized person when it comes to this. It's just, you know how it is. You're sitting there rolling along. You're, you're taking it in. I've really not been paying a lot of extra attention to Chantal lately, just because it's really just SSDD, same shite, different day, over and over, and uh, she doesn't have a new audience. She knows she doesn't have a new audience. We know she doesn't have a new audience. But I think maybe she thinks, like, if she says a lie long enough and loud enough with her whole chest, that it'll suddenly be the truth. I don't know. So, and for somebody who claims she never watches reaction channels and doesn't deal with the farm, blah, 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 boy, she sure has all the lingo down. Somebody, like when they started saying the luxury fart box and, crackhead Olympics and her cycles, like she has all the lingo down. For somebody who pays no attention to girl world, she's pretty tuned in to every single last thing. So I really think when she's not on live, sitting, staring at a camera, just with verbal diarrhea, thinks a thought and falls out of her mouth and it's not even going into her memory. She has no idea what she's saying. When she's not doing that, she's either sleeping, eating, and while she's eating, she's probably scrolling and searching, like every last place. I don't use Reddit, but I know there's some foodie Reddit threads and the farms, and yeah, she just, for somebody who's not bothered, she's actually really bothered. Is there anybody new here? You're missing Marfugal news for me. Oh, thank you, Havasu Mom. Yeah, I think Foodie definitely watches. I don't ever tag when she presses reset on her health journey, right? And it's just like, and she's totally trying to rewrite some of these narratives. Like, that's what finally got it for me today when she said, "Oh, I found an old notebook." You found an old notebook. The last time Chantal went to any kind of actual doctor was around 2017, maybe into 2018. They told her, several of them, they would not give her a BED diagnosis. She was told she was a food addict. She was told she needed to stop eating in her car. She needed to go to therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy. She needed to stop with the junk food and the fast food. And what she did is she quit going. And then, but she did some talking, and that's when she started reading the binge code. And we all know when she moved out of the apartment for where BB was, she left just about everything there. In fact, I can pull up, anybody remember when she tootled on in there in her little bright pink dress and bent over, and I'll pull up the photo of what we saw, but she didn't bring any of that stuff with her. Then she moved into the villa, and we know that, hey, Layla, good to see you. She was living in the villa, and she basically left every single thing there. She went to Kuwait with one suitcase. So where, pray tell, Miss Foodie Beauty, did you just happen to stumble across this old notebook with notes you took from a therapy session or from some of your therapy? I mean, really? I'm curious, like, do you think she thinks there's anybody that actually believes this? It's just, like, hey, Bunny Melon, good to see you. Hey, Laura, good, I'm glad you're here. So, put a 1 in the chat. Do you think she actually stumbled across this notebook with notes about, things she needs to do and advice for dealing with her food issues? Put a 2 if you think she's just full of it. I'm full on it too. Yeah, I came across an old notebook. No, you didn't. That was a flat out lie. Point blank, period. You didn't come across an old notebook. Okay. I'll let chat do their thing, and I'll see if I can't find the photo of what we saw the last time she went to supposedly collect some of her things from the apartment. All the stuff she had abandoned at the apartment. Let's see. Where's my screenshots? So I'm actually on my old iPad because I couldn't even get on the YouTube with with it. It's the one I usually stream through, and so we're very limited. We won't be watching videos, I don't think. But hold on, I'm looking for a very specific screenshot. I'm sorry, please hang in there. Let's see. I'll know it when I see it. I just want to show everybody where everybody comes in too. Exactly. She happened across an old notebook. Like I said, that's when I was like, that's it. You know, I've got something to say. And I've got a whole bunch of notes. So just like I'm very disorganized. Everybody knows this. What's new? And believe it or not, when you go live, there really is a skill to sitting in front of a camera and talking to an audience and keeping the conversation going and keep it kind of smooth, you know, like you know what you're doing. Like if you're not paying attention, it's really easy to flip into autopilot. Like I could sit here and be reading chat and flip into autopilot where I'm just saying things and answering questions, but I'm not really thinking about what I'm saying. And I really think Chantal has gotten far too comfortable with turning the camera on and it's verbal diarrhea and she's not really thinking about what she's saying, and she's become so accustomed to just with the flow and saying what the most popular thing is, and you know, or saying what needs to be said in the moment to cover her ass and stuff, that she lies as easily as in fact she lies much more easily than she breathes. We've all heard her breathing lately. It sounds painful and scary. So and I think it's hilarious, her performative puffer use as of late too. Oh, did this thing not update with the iCloud so I could find? And let me check and make sure I'm not missing anything. She wrote notes, right? Right on. Okay, yeah, everybody have fun in the exactly. She learns the buzzwords, and I don't even think well, here's what I think. While I'm still looking for this photo so I can shock everybody. What it is Foodie uses Dr. Google, and she finds the symptoms that fits the narrative that she wants to put out there. And number two, let's face it, if you have a doctor saying something is a thing, or we all know, anybody with any chronic diseases knows, hey, Port Angeles, anybody with chronic medical conditions knows how important it is to get medical validation, to get that diagnosis, you know, to get that, what is it, the CRT code, or whatever it is, you know, the code that goes with the diagnosis you have, right? And some things are more serious than others. Like when you hear eating disorder, it lends people to believe like, oh, because when people hear about an ED, think about certain things and you can garner more sympathy. So if you claim, oh, I have binge eating disorder, you're going to be able to lean more heavily into it's not my fault, I don't have control of it, la 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 la, much more so than if you say, yeah, I'm a food addict that has no self-control. You know, so she wants the medical diagnosis. She could not get the medical diagnosis, and she stopped going to, hey, Linda Metcalf, good to see you. I'm just letting everybody get in here. I'm kind of rambling. So that's the dealio with Chantal, is she couldn't, this was what, 7 years ago now, 6 years ago, she could not get the binge eating diagnosis that she wanted. She was told she's a food addict. She was told she needed cognitive behavioral therapy, which she brought up again today. I only watched a little bit of what she said today. But the reason, I guess I'll look for this photo later. I was just going to pull up the screenshot of the Chantal was in the last time she went to BB's apartment, which would have been the last time she went to any sort of therapy where she would have had any discussion regarding an eating disorder. And here's what we saw on that day. She sat her phone down. She was giggling and tee-heeing with BB. She walked away from her phone to grab something, and this is what we saw when she bent over. Yeah, everybody remember this? Yeah. Yeah, she was definitely brought all those notebooks with all those notes from all those therapy sessions for all the things she needed to do to help herself with her eating disorder. Sorry, I probably should have spoiler warning that. I told you guys I was looking for the picture, and if you know, you know. If you've been here, you know exactly what she was pulling. So that was the last time Chantal was at the apartment with BB to gather her belongings, which she didn't get anything, and that would have been her only opportunity to grab those notes, that notebook. We know there wasn't anything from the villa. So I know. Sorry, Princess Alyssa. So, do we all want to take like a 5 minute intermission for everybody to go wash their eyeballs with bleach? So, that's not the only one either. Does anybody remember the yellow dress bending over? Or the peekaboo fupa that one time where she was sitting in the. Laura Zoke actually sent me a copy of. She was sitting in the kitchen in the villa where she yanked her shirt up, and there was like, no, she was up in her bedroom and yanked her shirt up for a second, and things were hanging down, and somebody had put googly eyes on it and posted it on Twitter. Does anybody remember that one? Should I find that one for you guys? It's pretty funny. Hold on. I'm just getting my. We'll get it. We'll get into the meat of it here in a second. But yeah, let me see if I can find the googly eyes. So the good news is I'm not monetized, so I don't make it. So it's like I really don't care. This conversation is transformative. We see a thing online, and we are having a meaningful conversation about words do have meaning. Misinformation, being disingenuous, and things like that can not only be harmful to the person saying the things because of their own lack of awareness or their inability to care about the things they're saying and doing, but there are people who will take what that person is saying as the truth. And when people are handing out dishonest things, especially when it comes to health, etc., and mental health, that can be very, very deleterious to other people's well-being. Let me see if I can find that photo, that screenshot. Let's see, where is the googly eye peekaboo fupa? Oh, okay, so spoiler warning. Here's a no, that's just mean. At this point, I'm just being mean. Hey Dax, good to see you. So okay, I'm just looking. I'm not going to show you that one because that's just mean to do. I would be being petty with that one. Yeah, so okay, I will stop going through these because it's just terrible. So my point is that Chantal casually throwing it in her onto her channel today that she found a notebook from all the therapy she went to. Chantal has never really engaged in therapy. She said, "Oh, the first time I went to therapy was when I was 15." Yeah, that's when she really started to be a problem. My opinion. Number two, we know it's been suggested time and time again that she goes to cognitive behavioral therapy. Okay, does everybody here know what cognitive behavioral therapy is? It's CBT, right? That people go to CBT. The reason is because it's very hard work, really, emotionally and mentally, because when it comes down to it, the cognitive behavioral therapy, it's a way to call out your own distorted way of thinking. Because let's just use addicts, okay? Chantal's a food addict, but let's just use addicts in general. The problem with like drug addicts, alcohol is a drug too, is not the alcohol or other substances. That's a symptom of what is wrong with them. What is wrong with them is the way they think. And that is what's wrong with Chantal, the way she thinks. It's a very distorted way of thinking. And unless you sit with somebody and you work very hard and with somebody that's trained, and you remove all emotion and you get a realistic view on the things you think and the way you distort the truth, the objective truth, nothing is going to ever change. But the thing is, that's a lot of hard work because you have to really work at it. You have to actively, call out yourself, realize what you're doing, and stop it and engage in a healthy behavior or a healthy way of thinking. And it takes a lot of work, and it takes admitting you're wrong a lot. And Chantal, as we know, is not willing to do any hard work. Chantal wants what Chantal wants, and Chantal wants it right now. Why? Because she's not ever had to work very hard for anything. She's not willing to do any hard work. And so is Chantal saying, "Oh, I just need to sit here and, and baby steps and increments slowly get more comfortable my relationship with food." So something that I will tell like a drug addict. If you are taking your own advice, you are taking advice from the last person you used drugs with. I will tell Chantal the same thing. Chantal, if you are taking your own advice regarding food, you are taking advice from the last person you overate with. You have no ability to self regulate. She has zero idea of what a healthy portion is when she commented, "Oh, I get those little chips, but they're so small. I only eat 3 or 4." Oh my God, what was that? Something outside literally just knocked over a recycling can. Hold on 2 seconds. I just need to. Nope, I'm not even going to deal with it. That was very loud. Let's see, where was I? Let's see. Yeah, it was outside. I heard it. It was probably somebody's dog. Let's see, what was I saying? That, yeah, Chantal has no ability. I've got my phone right here, so all of a sudden I stop answering and I call 911. Just, yeah. But Chantal has no ability to self-regulate. She has like I was talking about, the little chip bags. Oh, they're so small. I only eat 2 or 3. That's 2 or 3 servings of chips. She doesn't have any idea of what a portion, an appropriate portion for an adult looks like. And so she's like, I'm eating half as much. Well, if you're eating 4 to 5 times as much as you should be every single meal, just because you cut it in half, you're now eating 2 to 2.5 times as much food as you should. Chantal's always saying, "Oh, I haven't binged today. I didn't binge today. Oh, I have to get back on track." Here's the dealio. Here's the dealio. To get back on track means you've gotten off track, right? That means you were headed in a direction and you got off track and you need to get back to that place. Well, you cannot get back on track when you have never been on track. Chantal has never been on track. She's never been headed in a healthy direction. It's all just words. Chantal's saying, "Oh, I didn't binge today." Okay, so a binge would indicate that you're eating significantly more than you normally eat. She sits down on camera and eats a family-sized meal several times a day, I would guess. Not always on camera, but that's what she does. First of all, put a 1 in the chat if you think several times a day she's eating family-sized portions. Put a 2 in the chat if you think, no, I'm just being a little hyperbolic. I think that she very much, yeah. And so when I say binging, yes, she severely overeats. And the reason I'm being very careful to not say binge, because she wants to attach the word binge to her eating habits in a more clinical sense, as in binge eating, versus, you'd be like, "Oh, I binged on donuts yesterday," which is, for your average person, colloquially just means, yeah, I overate, or I really indulge, right? So I'm going to be very careful to say Chantal overeats, okay? And she overeats by huge amounts. If she had binge eating disorder, would mean she had normal portions for some time and then had an episode and just went completely out of control. She's always out of control. She does not have binge eating disorder. She is a food addict that has no self-control. She has been practicing hedonism, point blank period, for a solid 4 to 5 years now. Since about the last year of her relationship with BB, she was balls to the wall. She was doing what she wanted. But so she's been practicing this overeating. So when she gets on camera, like her idea of a normal portion of food, she's ordering family meals and eating that all. She continually overeats. And so also when she goes to the store, "Oh, have I missed anybody? Hey, Minka. Sorry, I'm kind of off on it. Hey, no, Justice, good to see you." But that's the deal. And so when Chantal, like when she, apparently she got a grocery order today. I haven't even watched that video. But she says, "Oh, I got myself some treats to treat myself." A treat is something that you don't normally have, that you have gotten to reward yourself. being a little naughty and that kind of thing. So these things are not treats to Chantal, because a treat would imply she had done some semblance of work towards anything, whether it be, I don't know, putting out content that takes more effort than, I don't know, breathing and hitting record, or, you know, at least trying. And I'm not just saying sitting on camera and saying the words she thinks people want to hear, but actually trying, you know, and going. And Chantal going 24 hours, 48 hours, that's not going without. That's no significant change in behavior. Go without these treats for 2 weeks. And then if you were to eat the thing, that I would say is more appropriate, more in line with an actual treat. You have not had this thing for quite a significant amount of time. You've been working very hard towards these goals. Go ahead and treat yourself. So these are all buzzwords. These are all things she says. She's getting much, much more manipulative with her language and stuff. I think at this point, her chat is filled up with morons, trolls, and then there is a small portion I feel bad for are people that might be in a similar boat to her. They might be lonely, they might be overweight, they might, for whatever reason, and they're connecting with her. They have this parasocial relationship, and those are the people I feel sorry for. Those are the dangerous people, the people that she sucks into her hug box. Because once again, we go back to the cognitive behavioral therapy she's been told she needs since she was 15 years old. It takes an outside person, a trained professional, to look at the way you think, point out the distortions in it so you can change it. Well, when you surround yourself with ass pats and a hug box, you know, nobody there knows what they don't know. And so she's never going to hear the things she needs to hear. This is why she doesn't like one-on-one therapy. That's why she doesn't even like talking to people, because for as much as she said she doesn't have shame, I think face to face she has a lot of shame, and I think she does get embarrassed. That's why we see her all and so meek and mild, and she doesn't like being around people. But when you're sitting there with a screen between you and somebody else, she doesn't care. She doesn't see you. She doesn't think she's ever going to run into you. So she has this persona she puts on, because there's one of two ways you can be online. Like, you could be one of those people that you put on a character, like Nikocado Avocado, right? He becomes this character and he does it online when he live streams, blah, blah, blah. But it's not necessarily him. And then there's people, and like when I come on, or there's people like Chantal. I don't think she has a persona. I think she shows us exactly who she is. And she tells us exactly who she is. And I know, because I remember my grandmother saying this, when somebody tells you who they are, believe them. Chantal has shown us time and time again how untrustworthy she is, how uneducated she is. She has said herself she has no hobbies, she has no interests, she really has no motivation to do anything. Chantal has never suffered. Hey Mary, good to see you. Sorry if I haven't said hi to everybody. My opinion, Chantal hasn't really ever suffered without, when she was talking about welfare girl, oh wealth girl. I've never heard that in my life. You know, Chantal was 5 years old when mommy got together with stepdad. Chantal doesn't know what it's like to go without. I feel that Chantal has been indulged her entire life. Is it bad when your mom throws you down in front of the TV, or you go to grandma's and you get thrown on the TV and given food? No, it's not the greatest thing, but you know what? At least you're not getting the shit kicked out of you, and mommy's not overdosing in the living room. Number two, I suspect from a very young age, Chantal has always been a willful child. For whatever reason, I think she started overeating at a very young age, and it was just easier to give her the food or give her what she wanted, because some of her first memories are being reprimanded because she keeps wanting more food, like the pudding cups, when she's like 4 or 5 years old. So she has always overeaten. She goes to it for comfort. And then number two, Chantal's not really ever been told no. We've seen how her family, they call her cutie, they enable her, they put up with like stuff that nobody should put up with. She's not really ever had serious consequences, and she's always just kind of lived in this protected bubble. She's never gone without. Chantal doesn't know what it's like to actually be hungry. Chantal doesn't know what it's like to actually be afraid, like I'm going to be homeless, or you know, it's all anything that Chantal goes without is because of her own bad choices, because she doesn't want to change. She would cut off her own nose to spite her face if she felt like it, right? She loves being contrary. I don't even know where I'm going with this conversation. I'll look at chat. Hey, Jocelyn's mom. Good to see you. Sorry I don't have my apron on that you gave me because I'm not cooking tonight. So that's why I don't have it on. But trust and believe, the first time we do an actual bad baking, oh my God. Yeah, that's that. I love that apron so much. Let's see. If she gets therapy, she'll have to face why she's in Kuwait. And exactly. And the thing is with Chantal at this point, like, she stays in Kuwait because it's the path of least resistance. Well, Chantal is one of those people, if people tell her no or you shouldn't do this thing, she will do it. She'll make it happen. It's amazing. Like if she would put 1/10 of the effort into developing a healthy relationship with herself, her thinking, and her relationship with food, 10% of what she puts into being defiant, she would be incredibly successful. But we've seen Chantal since the get-go. She's an incredibly hedonistic person, very materialistic, but she doesn't even really respect things. I really think, she's never really gone without. She's always had what she wanted, but she doesn't take care of things. And she's very hedonistic. She thinks a thing, she wants a thing, she does the thing. And here's what I know, because anybody that's ever been around like alcoholics or addicts, people that gamble or food addiction like Chantal, if you don't start practicing self-control, it's kind of a use it or lose it. And Chantal for the last 5 years has been practicing zero self-control. She's really stepped it up because she gives zero fucks what anybody thinks at this point. And and it's so she lives this certain way where she gets what she wants, she does what she wants to do. And it's very hard to start shifting yourself, to tell yourself no, and that's why we see with Chantal, that's why she likes being in Kuwait, because salad acts as brakes for her, and until she totally snaps and really wants the thing. But salad acts as a kind of breaks for her. And so she likes that. That's why another reason I think she likes being in Kuwait, because we've seen when she goes to Thailand, she cannot stay off of drugs, just as she can't stay off fast food. If there's drugs around, she will take them. If there's fast food around, or if she can get the food she wants, she'll just eat endless amounts of it, because the food and the drugs are not the problem. Once again, Chantal's thinking, her twisted way of thinking, is the problem. And for somebody that's an addict, whether you're a drug addict or a food addict, if they can't get the food and they can't get the drugs, then their next favorite drug of choice is emotions, right? Because bottom line, for addicts with the twisted thinking, the distortion is, it boils down to, usually with most addicts, is I want what I want it right now, and they want to change how they feel right now. So, gamblers, they get that rush. Food addicts, they get that dopamine hit. Drug addicts, everybody knows, or you get drunk. So they want a change of emotion. So with an addict like Chantal, she can't get her food and she can't get her drugs. The next greatest thing she can do to change how she feels right now is start a fight with somebody, stir up some controversy. And once she's picked a fight with salad or brought up a traumatic event from her childhood, she can start crying or fighting or get that emotional release that she so desperately craves. That's put a 1 in the chat if you think what I'm saying kind of makes sense. Put a 2 in the chat if you think, oh my God, Grebo, just stick to biology. You're a fucking wingnut. So, but I kind of think I know what I'm talking about. Am I a psychologist? No. I just play one on the internet occasionally. But, and if you think I'm totally off base and put a 2, I'm cool with that. Let's have a conversation. What am I missing? I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong. Well, that's a lie. Sometimes I don't like admitting I'm wrong, but I do it. Why? Because I want to be a better person today than I was yesterday. And like I said earlier, when it comes to Chantal and stuff, is I want to, she really needs to understand whenever Chantal's taking her own advice, she's taking advice from the last person she overate with. She has no business trying to self-help at this point, but she's not going to put in the work. And I honestly think, like, I hate to think that anybody's truly a lost cause, but I honest to God think Chantal, because she's been this way for so long, I really think she was a bad seed from the get-go. I think she was a willful child. We've heard the stories. We've seen how she is around other people. That's why she likes being online, because now she's got this whole persona. She can talk about her goth era and her hoe phase and all these things that she dreamed up in her head, when we've seen her in those old videos, like at one of Shannon's parties, where she is that awkward weirdo that somebody invited as a friend because you've been a friend with them since you were 6 years old, but they're weird, they're awkward, they have no social grace, and they just are hard to be around. She's so incredibly awkward. It's painful. But now she's got this whole world and this whole past built up in her head, and she's always like saying, "Oh, people need to leave the past in the past. Well, I won't let people let my past die. That was a couple years ago. Why are you bringing that up?" Yet every single story we ever hear from her is a story about when I was 15, when I was in Katimavik. Oh, one time when blah blah blah. It's like, that's all you have, stories from the past. So which is it, cutie? We don't want to talk about the past? Or that's all we're going to talk about? Make it make sense. Let me look at chat. Let's see. Did I miss anybody? Susie. Hey, Holly G. Good to see you. I said hi to Mary Sparkle. One of her main manipulation tools is the threat of potentially violent. Yes, exactly. And I think that's the deal with her family, is she just absolutely blows up, loses her shit, and then she gets absolutely hysterical. She was probably one of those kids that was like, and would cry until she puked. One of those kids. Everybody went to school with the Chantal. There's always one in every class, and to the point where you just don't want the drama, you don't want the chaos. You've had a long day, so you just give the kid whatever they want so they will shut up. She's manipulative. I think she's been highly manipulative for a very long time. Do I think Chantal is really intelligent? No, I actually think she's a pretty low watt light bulb. But like any good, and like I said, I don't know what her mental health diagnoses are. Mental health is never your fault, but it is always your responsibility. Okay? But when you listen to the way Chantal talks, she has recreational anxiety, recreational depression, recreational sciatica. She pulls these things out when it's convenient for her narrative. Is there an actual medical diagnosis? Probably not. I think you could medicate the heck out of Foodie Beauty and it would make no difference, because the bottom line, when it comes down to it, she is a 400 plus pound, 40-year-old toddler that has never practiced any kind of self-control, has never really faced consequences, never really been told no. Like her stage of development, how you go through it, just never really, and she doesn't want to. She's happy with herself. She likes getting her way, and she's just not willing to put any work in. Hey Ariana, good to see you. Hey Effie Bug, thank you for showing up. And that's the thing with Foodie, is like, I think that, and anybody that's ever been around children, kids can be mean, right? I can remember a couple just terrible things that happen. When you're a kid, you get embarrassed, or kids are mean and stuff. But I think Foodie takes those things, held on to them, and holds on to grudges. I mean, she still got grudges against people she was mad at when she was like, remember the story when she was 12 years old and she got mad at the neighbor kid that got the CD that she wanted, so she picked a fight with the girl, and that story's changed a few times about what went down, but it all came down to she threw the fit so she could leave, and she took the CD and left because she wanted the CD. That's the kind of person she is. Yeah, being bullied, it's no fun. I always did my thing. I didn't get bullied just because overall, I gave 0 Fs when anybody thought about me from a very young age, which, to my detriment. I probably should have cared a little more. Okay, let me see. I have some notes. Let me go over some of my more right here, right now thoughts I have in my head, because I have so many notes. But I'm sorry that happened to you, Granny Noodles. It's no fun when you get picked on. Or like, put a 1 in the chat if you know what it's like to be like, you got to go to the store with those food stamps and you would rather die back in the day, remember the old paper food stamps? And you would rather starve? And please God, you know, like, and just put one in the chat if you have, and it doesn't even have to be food stamps, but put one in the chat if you know what it's like to pray to God that somebody that you go to school with does not see you in whatever situation it is, because you would be horrified. It's a terrible feeling, you know. People can be really cruel. Okay, where's my notes? Let me find my current notes. So, okay. Yeah, see, you got, yeah. You just gotta, but here's something else too. Like, at what point do people at what point do you become responsible for your own behaviors? I think once you're able to drive and vote, you need to become responsible for your own behaviors. You don't get a boo-hoo or whine. You don't. And Foodie, just like I said, tries to pretend she was welfare girl and she never went without. Or she always went without, yet her grandfather owned a chalet and they vacationed down in Florida with him. Like, make it make sense. Do I think her family was loaded? No. Do I think she ever went without? Once again, no. I don't think so. You know? So, yeah, you have a Sue Mom. I do agree. So everybody here, I think Chantal was actually the bully. Do I think people could be mean to her? Yes. But I think Chantal was held grudges, you know, and instead of letting them go, she would tend to them like little pets till they got really big and strong and then lash out. Put a one in the chat if you think no, Chantal was always bullied. Put a 2 in the chat if you think Chantal more often than not was the bully. I'm a solid 2, you know. I'm not saying people weren't cruel to her, because kids can be cruel, but I think it's a 2. I think Chantal more often than not was the attack dog, the one that went after other kids, you know, and she would probably find the weaker kids or the smaller kids, you know, and that, but if you listen to her insults now, she never really progressed past those "I know you are, but what am I?" or her whataboutism. In fact, let's just talk about her whataboutism. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, like that naked photo she had of Pete's and stuff like that. And I'll say this, as far as Chantal and the people she gets into relationships with, I really think she gravitates towards more special needs kind of men. Pete's, I don't, maybe Pete's is on the spectrum, maybe he's not. Schools are really good at picking that up, but he's not the most well-adapted human being, right? And Chantal really liked that. I don't care what anybody said, but Salad, there is some kind of special needs there, and nobody can convince me of, do I think he's a dirtbag? Completely. But I just don't think, I think he's wired a little different. We didn't see a lot of BB, really. But I still think that, and you could be a high functioning adult and have a job and everything, but it doesn't mean you don't have some peakadillos that make you slightly uniquely wired. I really think that maybe BB might have been, maybe he was special in some way, because he didn't seem to need her monetarily. I'm just guessing. I'm spitballing here. Yeah, she's about 13. And the thing is, she could, and that's what, let me bring you to that, is Foodie, though, when she started, we saw it very early on with, she gets her little cutesy voice and acts as Foodie really does practice like strategic incompetence, and feigned helplessness. Well, I can even remember in her old videos, she'd be, and be all cutesy and stuff, and they call it strategic incompetence, which is where you just pretend that you can't perform a task or something like that, and it might be to bolster somebody else's ego, to make them feel like, oh no, but I can do that. But she practices strategic incompetence more often than not. She does it either to manipulate a man so that he can feel big and strong, and she can pretend that she's this little tiny dainty wilting flower, because Chantal has been a very large girl for a very long time. She has never been a skinny legend, and so she needs to, I think she acts dumber and smaller and less than she is for that strategic incompetence, to let people around her feel more important because it's easier to manipulate people when, you know, they're happy with you. And she's really, really, and so there's two different things. There's something called feigned helplessness and learned helplessness. And those are not the same thing. Learned helplessness is something that, you know, basically gets beat into somebody as a child or like in abusive relationships and it's called learned helplessness, right? And that comes when really abusive, da da da. This is not what we're talking about. We're talking about feigned helplessness. People with feigned helplessness, it always has an ulterior motive, and that motive is to manipulate other people. I think Chantal 1,000% practices feigned helplessness, you know, to make herself, because I think it makes her feel cutesy and small and, oh, you know, I'm so dainty. And she thinks, you know, it ingratiates her to the other people because they're so much more important and bigger and stronger and blah, blah, blah. It's all manipulation, my opinion. Let's see. She takes care of him and holds it over his head. Yeah, exactly. She's really manipulative. She acts like a little kid when she realizes she can't do something, especially physically, to appear more endearing. Exactly, Princess Alyssa. So, and I think she can still physically do most things, but it is so hard for her to do things physically, and that would require hard work and breathing hard and probably looking bad, that she's practicing this strategic incompetence because she's above all else, she is incredibly lazy, like incredibly lazy. She will, you know, wipe her face. She carries that sweat rag around in her purse. We see her wipe her face and then basically just like, you know, wherever it drops, that's where it lays. She's just so lazy. And once again, this comes back to she's been practicing this hedonistic, no control. Sees the thing, does the things, wants the thing, but zero accountability. And so she's gotten so incredibly lazy. But yes, you hit the nail on the head, Princess Alyssa. Which is gonna, let's see, she feigns helplessness anytime something requires effort. Exactly. Anytime something requires effort. Oh, or she'd be like, can you get me some water? Oh, will you open the bag of chips for me? Thank you. And she, you know, she gets that little, you guys know the voice, you guys know the face. I'm not even going to try to imitate it because it makes me physically ill. Like, I'm usually really able to separate myself from like morons on the internet, but I've almost punched my screen a couple times because it's just so infuriating. Like, who buys into this? And like, if somebody in my life, I'm gonna say in my life, if somebody in my life was behaving that way in my family, I would 1,000% call them out. Excuse me, what is this? Because we've all, I've had times where like I'm laying in bed and I'm like, oh, Mr. Grebo, you know, you bring me a Diet Pepsi. You know, we all have our moments, but to 99.999, 100% of the time, pull that crap? No. Somebody needed to call it out. Nobody ever has called it out, and that's why it's gotten worse over time. And she surrounds herself now in this hug box and with people that continue to do this thing and tell her what she wants to hear. Yeah, she got stuck. When they were out desert camping, we'll get to that. She crawled on one of the kids' little merry-go-round things and got wedged in there. So, but this brings me to one of the biggest problems with Chantal's logic, or lack thereof, is her whataboutisms, right? We all know the whataboutism. Let me see if I got this right. I made some notes. So, you know, Chantal, like, it's a kind of attack. It's a kind of what they call a fallacious argument. It falls underneath, I think, an ad hominem argument, which means like in oneself type argument. But a whataboutism is a strategy where you respond with an accusation. You respond to an accusation that somebody's made about you. You respond with a counter accusation in your defense instead of some sort of defense against the original accusation. So, you know, when somebody says you are neglectful to your cat because you refuse to get it spayed and you keep giving it harmful injections because you're lazy. instead of saying, wait, study says but receipts, she comes back with, well, what about FFG and she murdered her dogs, blah, blah, blah. What about isms? You know, the way you can think about it, if it's too confusing, it'd be like if you said, I'm trying to think of something like, you know, Foodie, you're bad. You killed 2 people. But what about Ted Bundy? He broke in, but you see what I'm saying? 2 things can be true at once, you know. Like Chantal could be a terrible, neglectful pet owner, while at the same time, yes, there are some reaction channels there, you know, that do sniper, that do get incredibly personal with their attacks and gross, and you know, and a lot of new clip channels have popped up, you know, with all kinds of crazy theories, and yeah, so I get it, but one does not make the other one not true. You know, she uses this diversion tactic. You know, another kind of one of those logical fallacies is like that straw man argument, and she's big on those straw man. That's where I'm trying to think of an exact example, but you know, she misrepresents her opponent's argument and then refutes the misrepresentation. So like she hears somebody say something about her, she repeats back, you know, the argument made against her, but she repeats it back incorrectly, and then she argues her own defense on this incorrect attack that was never made towards her. You know, that's like her bread and butter for how she responds to everything. Once again, 2 things can be true at once. Are there a lot of channels that cover her and maybe some that do steal her content? Sure. But there are a lot of transformative channels that actually have something good to say. And regardless of what's going on there, that does not make the things she says or does any more acceptable. She's a terrible person. She is a disingenuous, misinformation slinging, slothful, greedy, envious, wrathful poster child for how not to behave in life. We'll just leave it at that. Let me look at the chat. Sorry. Let's see. Yeah, but I call it the whataboutism. Yeah, but what about? And it's just, you know, and she thinks that absolves her. And I just, it's like I keep saying, 2 things can be true at once. People occasionally say really hurtful, mean, personal attacks against her that have nothing to do. Like, in general, I don't like attacking somebody's immutable characteristics. It's like me. You know, occasionally I'll get comments like, why do you blink so much? Or you talk with your hands and stuff on my lives. You know, and it's like, you know, I'm not trying to get anybody to feel sorry for me, but I have Tourette's. I talk with my hands to keep myself moving, because then you don't sit here and tick as much. Because why? You know, you don't always feel like ticking in front of people. It's not always the most pleasant thing. So, you know, and so those kind of attacks, and people attacking somebody's immutable characteristics, it says more about the person making the attack than the person being attacked. But if somebody wants to come back in the comments and say, hey, you said this thing, you portrayed this misinformation, that seemed disingenuous, feel free. Why? Because this is stuff I'm putting out on the internet, and if somebody thinks I'm lying, or I've got misinformation going out there, or, you know, or I've made a factual error, yes, please, let's have that conversation, right? And that's the commentary I have going for Foodie. You know, when it comes to her weight and stuff, I'm not making fun of her because she's fat. I'm talking about the fact that she has raging uncontrolled diabetes. She's got mental issues, and I feel many of them are self-imposed mental issues she refused to deal with, and she keeps trying to get people to feel sorry for her while handing out misinformation that can and probably will end up killing somebody if they actually followed her advice, if they really listened to what she said, if they drank the Kool-Aid and went full Jim Jones, you know, it's a bad deal. So let's see, have I missed anything in chat? Sorry, I'm just rambling away. And did I scare everybody off? Sorry. So let's see. Let's see. But yeah, so I'm not even looking at my notes. Now I need to. Yeah, but Chantal with her ad hominem argument, she will attack the character or a motive or an attribute of the person making an argument against her rather than attack the substance of the argument itself. You know, so somebody, you know, so if somebody said, and this is me just using this example, you're a stupid, fat, ugly loser that is neglectful to their animals, she will go back and attack, oh yeah, well, you're fatter, uglier, stupider, and you know, you did X, Y, and Z. So she will attack, you know, like the an attribute or the character of the person rather than the argument, which is the part which is you're a neglectful, you know, from what we've seen objectively, a neglectful pet owner. Like she won't deal with the actual. She'll go after almost like the adjectives instead of, you know, the noun, if that makes sense, like, or at verb, you guys know what I mean. She goes after the descriptors. And so, you know, that's why I just don't really care to get into the slinging of insults about looks and stuff. I will comment on her willful ignorance. I will comment on her laziness. I will comment on the fact that she said she has no hobbies. She has no interest in anything, but yet she thinks she can just sit there and hand out information, especially when she's sitting there and trying to hand out information about Islam. That really gets my goat. It's like, so you show yourself praying, you showed yourself getting your shahada, here, let me show you. So the first time Foodie Beauty jokingly brought up, oh, I should just wear a hijab. Let me show you guys. Hold on. So this was back in 2017. Let me see. I'll show you the pictures. So does everybody remember when she had that personal trainer and she was going to the gym and she showed herself walking around and stuff like that, and it would show her in her car, you know, and she had a big polar fleece and she would zip it up like this, and she'd jokingly say like, oh, I like this. And then she'd be like, she brought up something and said, I should just start wearing a hijab. This is like 7 years ago. She's always kind of had that I should just wear a hijab as jokes or little pokes or things like that for many, many years. Maybe that's why she gravitates towards men of the Muslim faith, because it just made it easier, because, you know, being Catholic and slapping on a hijab, people are like, the fuck? But, so, yeah, but for her to now say that she's a Muslim revert is a joke. She knows nothing. If anything, no, I'm not going to get into a pissing contest with her, but I would guess your average person could probably spit more facts. Well, I'm not going to say your average person, because there's some, like, think about the average person you know and realize and how dumb they are, and that half people in the world are dumber than that. But, you know, I would say your average person that has some knowledge of religions in general, just, you know, has some kind of theology, general religious education, would be able to spit more facts about the Islamic faith than Foodles could, you know. And so for her to sit there all healthy and happy in Kuwait and say the things she says, you know, while wearing the hijab and handing out misinformation, it's just incredibly disingenuous. And it's so cringe. So cringe. Oh, hey, Yarn. Hello. Yes, it did go back that far, Jocelyn's mom. She's deleted all those videos. Put a 1 in the chat if anybody's been watching Foodles that long, that you remember when she would get up early and she would zip that polar fleece up and she would make jokes about hiding her neck and her chins, you know, because this was like years ago. This is way, way back. This is almost before, like, I was watching her before she had that first, remember that first, like, pasta mukbang that she peeled the cheese off the top and ate, and that one went viral. She got like 500,000 views, and that's when she started taking off, because before that she'd get like 122 views. I mean, she was very low. She was doing Smule or whatever it was called, or Musically. Yeah, so she has been talking this hijab game for years. years, you know. And I think it didn't really fly. And I don't think, I would imagine maybe BB said, no, don't do that or something. But, you know, and I suspect she might have even tried that with McStabby, brought up the hijab, and he was probably like, hard no. But, you know, she found somebody, you know, and just watching Salad with that Jason Mask this last weekend, that they were at an abandoned campground like 4 days before the holiday camping season opened up, playing video games with air conditioning. That's not camping. That's just a little more sand in your daily living. So it was just, but there's nobody around. They any place they go, there's nobody around. So she might not be embarrassed online, but I think she's incredibly self-conscious in person. Okay, so we talked about her feigned helplessness, her strategic incompetence, her whataboutism, the whole. Let's see. Did I say hi to everybody? And then the other thing is, so have you noticed, like on 11/4 she weighed in, you know, and she was talking about, oh, there's not a one size fits all regarding losing weight, but at the end of the day, it boils down to, you know, and just she's supposedly has been doing these weigh-in vlogs. Have you noticed how every single time it's in that really narrow band? Like she's like, I'm trying to think what it is in kilos, but it's like, she's hovering in this very narrow band, like 340, 342, 343, 341, or, 150, whatever, 151.7 kilos, right? Like she has got like this half kilo range where she hovers, and she has been hovering for weeks now. That's not how it works, okay? That's just not how that works. With somebody as large as Chantal, just the water weight fluctuation, it would not stay in that band. And so, we've looked up that Wanza scale that she has. It clearly says it can't weigh over 180 kgs. I just think that one of two things is going on. That she's found a way, this one, 153, right? But just the way it's always in that narrow band, is there a chance that she's less than 180 kgs? And let's see, 180 kgs is, can anybody tell me what 180 kgs is in pounds real quick? Because I can't get to my calculator. So let's see, it's 2.2 pounds. Let me see if I can get it. 2.2 pounds. 2.2 pounds times 180 kilograms, which is, so 396 pounds is what the most that cheap electronic scale can weigh. 396 pounds. Okay, this is a serious question. Put a 1 in the chat. Thank you, Ariana. Thank you, Wooly. Put a 1 in the chat if you think she's, and you got to remember, she's only 5'1", so she's very short. So put a 1 in the chat if you think she's actually less than 397 pounds. Put a 2 in the chat if you think no, she's broke that 400-pound plateau. Because we've seen photos of her back when she was with BB and stuff, when she was at like 376 and stuff like that. And so put a 1 in the chat if you think, no, she's not over. She's less than she was at her heaviest, at that 403 pounds. Put a 2 in the chat if you think, no, I think she is well over 403 pounds. So most people think 2, and I do 2. Oh, thank you, Minka. Yeah, so I think she is well over that. And some scales will air out when they go over their maximum, and some of them just won't weigh past that, and it'll just hover at a certain point. It just gets less accurate. And so for whatever reason, like, it'd be so nice if somebody could order one of these and see how you can and can't dink with it. But I don't think she has a real clue on how much she weighs. She goes to like urgent care, cash only doctors. that last one that where she went and weighed her and yelled her weight to the nurse who was in another room and they were doing it. It was electronic scale. Once again, I looked up the brand, the exact kind. It couldn't weigh over, what was it, like 165 kilograms or something. So once again, there was no way that thing could have, and it wasn't even a medical grade scale. So she's constantly weighing herself on things that probably can't weigh as much as she is. When she went to that science center, the one in Thailand, you saw it never settled. It just kind of kept going like this. And, she's leaning on stuff. So I really do think that she's well over 400. And so for her, and she knows, it's like, she knows, and she knows that we know, and she knows that we know that she knows that we know. And it's just this whole game. So for her to week in and week out say, oh, there's not one size that fits all regarding her weight, I call bullshit. You just don't eat as much as she does, as much salt, as much soda, as much with all the inactivity that she has, and just stay exactly where she's at. Like I bounce around sometimes 3 to 4 pounds daily, and she's got a solid 2.5 bills on me, easy. Let's see. She has, yeah, everything. And yes, Holly. And that's just, hey, Kimmy, good to see you. Good to see you, Kimmy. And so, let's see, where am I going? Okay, hold on. Let's see, where was I? So, I think she's incredibly disingenuous. She knows she weighs more than that, but I think she's comfortable. Like she's just looked at herself through the filters for so long that she's become comfortable with that narrative. Like, did you see today or that video she recently put out with, when she was walking around with Salad, hold on. When you look, Salad, his head, how he gets that weird, hold on. I took some screenshots off of the farms. Hold on. So when they were out walking around, Salad's how his hair looks like it's standing up, and his head just has that weird elongated and stuff like this. This is because they have the slimming filters completely enacted, and that's why he gets that weird drawn out. But when they were sitting there, they were playing that video game, both acting like happy toddlers. And for whatever reason, notice Salad has a normal shaped head, and look at the size of her there without, let me turn the lights off here. So I know these are potato quality, but do you see what I'm saying? Like so that right there, and Salad's head looks normal, versus, from just the vlog before. Look at the difference in his head shape and just her size. Like she's huge. And when she was cooking the other night, or when she was the cooking meal, and like right here, this is not me being mean, but do you see like the back fat and everything like that? She is much larger because that the picture I pulled up of her when she was at that gym back in 2000, I think it was 17, that one I showed where she was walking around with that trainer, 7 years ago when she was serious. So I want to say she claimed her weight when she was doing that thing. Let me find those photos again. Sorry, I'm flipping around. Darn it. Where is darn it. Does everybody remember the photo I showed you when she was in that gym walking around with the mirrors? Yes? Do you guys know the one I'm talking about? I just showed it. Darn it. Hold on. I need to try to find it because I'm just going to... I need to organize these photos. And Laura, like I said, if I drop dead, please come drop. Oh, so here, I took this photo. So here's a woman that is similar to Foodie's size. That was on a documentary I watched. So this woman is 4'11", almost 5 feet tall, and she was 434 pounds. Okay? And that's what she looks like. So you put that, and that's objectively what this woman looked like. Here's what this woman looked like when she walked. So she's nearly 5 feet tall, so just an inch smaller than Chantal. 434 pounds, documented in the documentary. So that, here she is from the side, 434 pounds. Let's see if I got any other photos. Here's her, she trying to walk. She drags a chair with her. So we got that. And, oh, and then this right there. She has to sit down because she gets tired. 434 pounds. You compare that to how Chantal looks. Do you think Chantal is less? Do you think Chantal is actually 340 pounds? Because that picture I showed you just earlier when she was, when she was doing the zip up and the hijab talk, that's when Chantal was about 340 pounds. Compared to what we see today. So you remember the picture? Put them on the chat if you remember the picture I just showed so I don't have to find it again. She was in the gym. I was talking about the hijab and the zip up. Put them on the chat if you remember what she looked like. Do I need to pull that up or does everybody remember? Okay, so you remember what she looked like. Okay, I just showed you the woman that's 300 and... damn it. Now I got to find the... so I just showed you the woman that was 434 pounds, right? And so this is Chantal claiming she's only 340 pounds, that, and like here from the side, like just, and then they're about the same height. Let's see, I've got some other ones unfiltered. Oh, let me find, I had another good one. Oh, here's the ones I'm talking about. So this is Chantal when she was about 340 pounds, when she was still with BB. I don't see the back fat. I don't see, and I know gravity as you get older works, but you compare her backside there to the backside here. Like, she is just markedly larger. Yeah, am I just talking out my ass here? So... yeah, the perspective, but do you see what I'm saying? And that woman I showed you, she's about Chantal's height, 434 pounds. And I feel that Chantal, let me find some other photos, looks much larger than that woman. Just much larger. Let me get some other of the unfiltered ones. So I remember when I screenshotted that, I thought, oh, because I thought, this could, and I even wrote down her height and her weight, because I thought, and so this is a highly, no, I'm trying to find some non-filtered pictures of Chantal, because she's pretty careful to filter herself, but yeah, she's, that's filtered. Yeah, I need to get everything saved so I have the filtered and the not filtered. Here's when she was in that doctor's, this is when she had that diabetes scare. So, yeah, I don't think there's any way that she could be nearly 100 pounds less than that other woman. I don't see how it's happening. Yeah, and that's how come Ariana, when I was watching, like, it's autoplayed, it was like 4 a.m, and Mr. Griepo was like, what are you doing? Because I sat straight up because I heard what they were talking about. And I got my iPad out because I'd fallen asleep, and I was taking screenshots because I thought, this woman is about the same height, and she's saying how much she weighs, and she's doing it in a medical setting. And I was like, I have to get photos or screenshots because this woman was so markedly, she was just showing her size, Here's Chantal at the villa. So this is after, the crackhead Olympics and stuff. This is when Chantal actually kind of got down probably to 350 pounds. So I don't see how there's any way that she's, and I did some math. So remember when Chantal flashed those calories, that calorie thing online, and I went into the calorie tracker, and then I got some screenshots off of Kiwi Farms because somebody basically did what I did. But she showed the thing that said, to maintain her weight, she could get, and I screenshotted this off the farms, she could have 3,100, said she could have 3,100 calories to maintain her weight, or 2100 to extreme weight loss, and she wanted to do a mid one, which was 2600 calories. Well, if you went into the fitness tracker, the only way you could get those exact numbers was if Chantal weighed about 434, 435 pounds. I'm just saying, at her height, if you put in a sedentary 40-year-old, 5'1" female, right, at 435 pounds, you could get those exact numbers that she showed. If you messed with her activity level, like you made her mildly active, moderately active, you could not recreate those exact numbers she showed. So do I think she fucks with her activity level? Yeah, I think she does. But I think on this one, maybe it was she was just trying to get a realistic assessment, because as a sedentary 40-year-old 5'1" female, you know, they were giving her a lot of calories she could eat to maintain her weight. I think she liked those numbers better. I know, I'm completely going off the rails here. Do I ever watch Sansa Cooks? Yes, I do. I like Sansa because I'm like super big on like calorie counting. I kind of have scale eyes, not like Chikara transformation. I'm not as good as Sansa, but I really keep track of calories. And Foodie really, and since Sansa started to do that, it's saved me so much time, because I used to look up everything she was eating and try to track the calories, and now I don't have to. I can just watch Sansa and leave her hearts and comments, you know. Yeah, I don't, and that's just it, Ariana. Hey, hello, BVDB. Hello back from Portland area, USA to the Netherlands. And I agree, she doesn't enter her calories correctly. And this goes back to what I was saying when we first started this live, is she has no idea of what a portion is. Like the other day, she was eating those JoJo's, and she showed her the screenshot of her calorie counting, and she counted it as about a cup of potato wedges. A cup. This is a cup right here. Like, 1.5 of those wedges would have filled up a cup. Like, she does not have realistic, she doesn't have scale eyes. Like, she can't, you know. And the doctor said she could have this much rice, and he meant this much cooked rice turned into this much raw rice that she could cook. Like, she really has no perspective on what a serving is. I only eat 2 or 3 bags of those little bags of chips. Yeah, those little bags of chips are called a serving. A serving of potato chips overall tends to be 11 or 12 potato chips. It's a little bag, you know, and that is highly processed, calorie-dense food, you know. I only eat 2 or 3. Like, she really has no concept on what average adult portion should look like, you know. She orders, and she'll even be like, oh, this isn't even that much, you know. It'll be half a chicken and a hubcap of rice, enough, like, you know, that you could feed 3 grown adults. I mean, stuff themselves and still have leftovers, and that's not enough for just her. Yeah, she can't do any kind of food math. She has no scale eyes. She has negative scale eyes. Her sandwich was covered in mayo, right? And she just, in her mind, it's, you know, there's that British show called Secret Eaters. People say, but I don't eat all day. I just eat salad. But they follow him secretly. And, you know, they eat, graze. I have somebody in my family like this, that they'll swear, I don't eat. You're a couple bills overweight. You're obviously eating, but they're like one of those secret eaters. Like, oh, I had a coffee from Starbucks. You go get a super mocha, you know, frappulatino from Starbucks with that sugar and everything. Those things are like 1,000 calories all day long. But in their mind, I just had a cup of coffee. They don't count stuff like that. Walking by a coworker's desk, pop a piece of taffy in your mouth. Doesn't even register. Somebody's eating lunch, you snack on a couple chips. Like, that can add up really quickly to many hundreds of calories that just people aren't computing unless you're really tracking it. I am like a complete Nazi when it comes, if I'm trying to keep track of calories or anything like that, you have to, you know, because it really comes down to, calories in, calories out. And yes, I know that there are medical reasons and stuff, but less than like 0.03% of people that can't lose weight have an actual glandular and or medical reason that they cannot lose weight. And I know it depends on hormones and stress level and this and that, but when it comes down to the simple math, at the end of the day, it's a calories in, calories out. If you have less calories going in than you have going out, you will have a net loss, period. 1 pound of fat is like 3,500 calories. So for Chantal to lose, let's say, so I think she's around 434. I think she's about the same weight as the woman I showed you. Let's say she's 434. And let's say Chantal wanted to get down to 334, closer to like the photo I showed you of her in the gym. So 100, I'm so bad with math. I'll just do calculator. I am really bad with math. So 3,500 calories per extra pound, and she wants to lose 100 pounds. That is 350,000 calories deficit she needs to have to lose 100 pounds. Let's say she needs 2,600 to stay at her weight. So let's say she's eating at 2,500. That's a 100 pound. So how would I figure that out? If she had 100 calorie deficit per day, how much weight would she lose per week? So that would be 700 calories per week. Times 4 would be 2,800. It would take a long time. I'm not doing this math. Sorry, not sorry. I hate math, but but because Chantal is so large that it wouldn't take much for her to have a significant, just to lose that first 50 pounds. She would just have to tell herself no half of the time and cut her portions down to actual appropriately sized portions. And yes, it would be incredibly uncomfortable at first. When you don't do a thing, it's like, when you're a kid, how you could like do the splits. No big deal. Try doing the splits now. Not so easy. Haven't done it in years. You have to imagine trying to do the splits now. You would need to start slow and stretching and day and every day. And you'd have to practice day in and day out and try over and over, and it'd be uncomfortable and you wouldn't like it. But eventually you'd be able to do the splits again, just like when you were a kid. Well, Chantal has not practiced any sort of self-control. She's been incredibly hedonistic and she's never really been told no. So it's going to be a lot of hard work to be able to, get back to the point where she can tell herself no and not give in to the cravings, because right now she's in this echo chamber and she's taking her own advice, which, like I said, is the last person she overate with. It's never going to happen, but she needs to truly want this thing also. And it's the only reason she's saying she wants to lose weight is because that's what people on the internet want to hear. She doesn't really want to lose weight. She wants to be left alone. She wants to do what she wants to do, and she just wants to keep coasting along how she is. I really do. Do I think she's going to drop dead? No. But I do think that her health is at that point where, and it might be another year or two of just coasting along and treating herself like crap, but I really do think she's at a point with her health where I think the damage has been done. I don't think she's going to change her behavior. And I also think something drastic is going to happen. There are going to be serious repercussions, and she's not going to be able to diet her way out of this. I just really think that that's where she's at. But until that thing happens, I don't think she's going to change her behavior. I think she's the kind of person that would be laying in the hospital and having people sneak them in pizzas and stuff. Remember Life by Jen and Jean? Yeah, Desiree. Yeah, I can tell you. Hey, Gina Marie, good to see you. And the treadmill went no contact, right? Sarah Marie, I'm sorry I didn't say hi. But your reasoning 100 calorie deficit per day for 100 pounds would equal 10. Thank you. Sarah Marie, everybody put a heart in the chat for Sarah Marie. She did the math. So if Chantal just denied herself 100 calories a day, 100 calories less than what she, had to eat to maintain. And I think she could eat about 2,600 calories per day, which is nearly double what I eat. So 100 less calories. That would be like 4 less pieces of taffy per day. at 100 calories per day, for her to lose 100 pounds would take nearly 10 and a half years. So, but even with little effort, she could start losing the weight. But thank you. Awesome. That was so awesome. Let's see. I didn't even really, I've been here ranting for so long and I haven't really gone over. Okay, I guess I'll start just going through my notes. I made little notes about the videos. Last time we went live was in September, so we'll just go over the notes and we'll go through, and it'll all fall back into what we've been talking about: the straw man arguments, these fallacious arguments, these whataboutisms, the strategic incompetence, the feigned helplessness, the fact she doesn't want to do the CBT, the cognitive behavioral therapy, which she's been told she needed since she was 15. And I always say this: mental health is not your fault, but it is always your responsibility. Cognitive behavioral therapy, by the way, is one of the best things you could do if you are a depressed person. I don't think Chantal is actually clinically depressed. I think it's just a narrative that she feeds her audience. Do I think she has anxiety? I think she gets incredibly uncomfortable with having to work hard, and I don't think she likes being seen in public, on top of her being incredibly lazy. So yeah, she probably gets a little anxious, but do I think it's actual anxiety? No, I don't think so. Once again, I think she's just really lazy and uses recreational anxiety or depression when it suits her narrative. Where was I going with this? But yeah, and as far as people that are like food addicts and stuff like that, CBT is great for them. For people that have that distorted thinking, that don't have the ability to see how they're taking the truth and they're twisting it and shining it in their own light, And Chantal has been doing this for a solid 25 decades, and she will not put in the hard work. So, yeah, it's true, Kimikaze. Yes, definitely. I love that one. Mental health is not your fault, but it is never your fault, but it is always your responsibility. No free get out of jail cards here, Here, let me get out my purse in which I keep my fucks to be given. Oh, wait, I don't have that purse because I give no fucks, what she says at this point regarding, and it's just the way she gives mental health issues a bad name. Why? Because I don't think she has any actual clinical problems above and beyond. She's extremely defiant. I think she's extremely stubborn. And she's incredibly lazy. And so, depression and anxiety. And it's just like her recreational sciatica. She was hopping around out there in the Kuwaiti desert, jumping on kids' toys, sitting in seats, wedging herself in children's toys, and there was no problem. When she got stuck, all of a sudden she was like, oh, my sciatica. Yeah, that's not how that works, So, let's go back. So, back on October 2nd, Yarn says, now I feel bad. I ate the peanut butter from the jar. Don't feel bad. Eat that peanut butter. Yeah. So back on, let's see, October 2nd, eating live, she said something about, this is the only plate that I have. I think salad crashes there occasionally, but I really think he has someplace else that he stays. I just put a 1 in the chat if you think salad lives there. Put a 2 in the chat if you think he probably crashes someplace else the majority of the time. I'm really curious to see what people think. But she's just, when you look at the dishes and stuff she has, it really screams. So what did I say? 1 is salad lives there. 2, salad doesn't live there. He might crash there, but he doesn't live there too. So EP thinks he actually lives there. Okay, fair. Yeah, well, but the thing is about affording 2 apartments, does he have a room at his dad's house maybe? I'm just curious. Yeah, I feel you, Granny Noodles. I am unsure. But just, here's why I think, well, and it could go one of 2 ways, because Chantal is incredibly selfish and self-centered, but like, when she was living at the villa with Pete, she would occasionally say our place or talk about Pete's room or stuff like that. But at this place she's living in Kuwait, it's always my house, my groceries, my plate, my room, my this. Like there's just really no sense. And I could be wrong, so I am kind of on the fence. But I have a dish problem, says Jocelyn. No mistake, he doesn't. Okay, yeah, so like I said, she said they only have one plate, and it just doesn't make sense if he actually lived there. So I don't know. I think he crashes there, but he might couch surf elsewhere, or I don't know. Or maybe they're doing something where she's paying the 310 Kuwaiti dinar, which is like $1,200 a month for her place. Maybe she's handed another 100 Kuwaiti dinar for him to rent a room in like the place where he was when she first met him. You know, he's back in a place like that with a room for, you know, a couple hundred American freedom dollars or something, 250 freedom dollars, you know, where he can go have his place, da 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 da. He can sleep when he wants, you know, and then he comes and goes from there. It's, you know, you know, or maybe there's a place in that building where he's sharing it with somebody else. I haven't quite figured it out, but it just seems like every time he's coming in, 9 times out of 10, she's looking at the door. He's coming in the door. So, but she got, when she was bragging in that, her grocery haul live on October 2nd, you know, she got a bunch of pita. She said she got all the pita bread she got in this grocery order back at the beginning of October, but it was multi-grain. She was talking about how healthy it was, but it was all for salad. Yeah. And then like 5 minutes later, she goes, actually, I'm a little hungry. And then breaks into Salad's multi-grain pita bread. And she shoves like, you know, chunks of it in her mouth. And then she pulls out a pound of Syrian grilled olives, you know. And then October 4th, she was live. Let's see, what are my notes saying? Yourself? I'm trying to see what she said. Can't skip meals because that triggers. Oh, and so yeah, on October 4th, Foodie was talking about how she can't skip meals because that triggers a binge. Like I said earlier, binge indicates that you are eating far above what you normally eat. Chantal always eats huge amounts. She always overeats. So I don't, you know, I don't think she actually knows what a binge versus not binging, like just a normal eating amount. I don't think she's eaten a normal amount in many, many, many years. Let's see. She's definitely not walking on that treadmill anymore. And 1.9, did she, I think she had it set at 1.9 kilometers per hour, because that was a Middle Eastern brand treadmill she got. So that wasn't 1.9 miles per hour. That was 1.9 kilometers per hour. I think it comes out to something like 0.8 miles per hour. So if I was going to walk at the rate Foodie was walking, hold on, I'm going to try it here. It would be something like, I would have to walk about like this. Nah, that's probably a little slow. Probably about this fast. This is about how fast Foodie was moving. That's the, you know, even though she's out of breath and she's gasping, she's, you know, breathing really hard, because that's a lot of fat sitting on her chest. But you need to get the cardiovascular up, you know, going. Start. Oh, thank you, Granny Noodles. Oh, thanks a lot. Oh, by the way, so I finally just got my first $100, I think, from YouTube, because from the super chats, you know, they add up, but YouTube won't send them to you until you actually have $100 worth. So, people, you know, I've gotten super chats since April, and I finally got it. And I'm gonna get, hopefully it works, is what are they called, the wireless mics, you know, that you plug in and that you can use. So I thank you. That's what it's gonna go for. That, and then probably a kitty treat or something for the kitties. Thank you, Granny. I appreciate it. Oh, where's Stephanie? Hey, Stephanie, good to see you. Thanks, I'm glad you're here. Let's see, where is I going? So, yeah, I don't think, Foodie's not going to lose weight. She's not walking on the treadmill anymore. Let's see. But somebody that's Foodie size, realistically, could weigh 102 pounds, 98 pounds, and be perfectly in a solid, healthy weight range. My parental unit is incredibly tiny. She's 98 pounds, my entire childhood. And, she looked good. 36, 24, 36, slim and stuff, but she wasn't underweight or anything. She didn't weigh 100 pounds. So, yeah, Chantal is, I'm going to go with, let's say she's the 435. She's an easy 335 pounds overweight. Let's see. And then on the October 10th live, she was talking about, I used to eat the entire container of cheese. And so her flex on this is like she only eats half of it. Still overeating. And then this is something I have underlined. Chantal uses this, I used to eat this, or I used to, thank you, Jocelyn's mom. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Like I said, kitty treats, kitty toys, and things eventually so we can do better live streaming, because I realize this is kind of ghetto. I'm working towards something better. Chantal, but she keeps using this used to, and this is an overarching problem with Chantal, is this I used to, and that implies things are old behaviors. For something to be an old behavior, it needs to be behavior that you have not engaged in for a prolonged amount of time. Not doing something for 24 to 36 hours is not used to, it's just not. Let's see, what else did she say? Oh, and this was the same one. Like on October 21st, she had a live Eat With Me, and this is when she said, imagine bringing up old stuff that doesn't mean shit, And she was talking about people in her chat, and what it was, they were bringing up stuff when she was with McStabby and stuff, stuff that was 2-3 years old. And she said, and I quote, "Imagine bringing up stuff that doesn't mean shit." So stuff that was 2 or 3 years ago doesn't mean shit. It's old. It's used to. That's, past. But yet, in the same live, like literally the next subject was, she then proceeded to talk about one of her Katimovic stories, which is, mind you, 27 years ago, because she was like, or something like that. So she tells people to stop bringing up the past, and they're all a bunch of retards, and then starts saying, when I was in Katimovic. Make it make sense. I mean, oh my God, that's like a 23-year-old story. And then she started to talk about another high school story, which is more like 27 years ago. Let's see. And then she started talking about U.S. politics, and she started talking about the amount of depravity, in the evil Western world, and this terrible hellscape we live in here in North America, And then she proceeds to say, but I don't know anything about it. But yet then she comments on it. I usually think that if you say, I don't know anything about that, stop talking. Just a thought. Let's see. With their wife. Okay, and then she started talking about belly dance. Somebody brought up belly dance. She goes, no, not here. They don't want their wives dancing all sexy for other men. Somebody's like, what about belly dance for this way? And do they have it? Oh, no, not here. They don't, this nebulous they, don't want their wife dancing all sexy for other men, which implies, because Western men obviously are just fine with their wives acting like whores and draping themselves over other men. I mean, it's just like this, the way she talks about it is like, there's no homeless people there. There's no stray animals, everything's so clean and beautiful, when we can see with our own eyes, to the contrary, when she's out walking around for the first time in 2 years in this neighborhood she lives in. Make it make sense, So, let's see. And then somebody asked her, would you be jealous about a belly dancer in front of salad? She goes, would I be jealous watching a belly dancer? No. I'd say that's a lie. I think that just the thought of another woman talking or being around salad about drove her crazy. Okay, this stuff's really old, so I don't know why I'm talking about this. And we've been doing this for a while, so let me zip forward a little bit. There's They don't have municipal garbage pickup or anything like that. So, you know, and the amount of homeless animals, it's like, yeah, lots of garbage. Let's see. See, I take all these notes and I'm so proud of myself because of these notes, but then I wait so long and then go off on a rant on something new, and then I have, like, literally, these are all notes. Okay, let me start at the beginning of this. If this is a little newer, let's see, what do we have here? What is this? Let's see, according to, let's see, what's, okay, nope, that's, okay, so this is October 22nd. Let's see. I guess she finds all of that as her data. Oh, and it, like, so, you know, and I guess Chantal has finally settled on November 11th, 11/11 being their wedding anniversary, because we all know it was 11/8 there for a while, so I just made a note of that. So she's, I guess, 11/11 is the date of her fake marriage. This is just more notes about her eating, how much she's eating. Oh, here's something else. Chantal always falls back on, there's no proof. You know what I mean? And that seems to be one of her really big falls back. When somebody brings up something, rather than mounting a decent defense of the thing, well, actually, I don't think that's accurate, blah, blah, blah. Well, there's no proof. That really seems to be like one of her go-to arguments. So lack of proof is not proof of something lacking. You know what I mean? And for somebody who's so big on proof, like, you know, and Chantal, if she has receipts, she will show us the receipts. If she had a legitimate receipt or a civil ID, we would have seen that by now. Yeah, with her doctor's appointments, if there was anything like that, especially even when it came to these eating disorders, if there was any actual proof, any actual medical diagnoses, anything like that, we would have seen that stuff by now, because she loves rubbing things in people's faces, and that's why we've not seen definitive proof. And when she does show us stuff from, you know, her doctor's paperwork, it's because there's a part, and I've talked about this before, but there's a part when you go in, there's an objective part where they write down the actual medical diagnoses and stuff, but then there's a subjective part where what the patient reports is written down. Patient reports they were diagnosed with the eating disorder in the past. Patient reports they were diagnosed with anxiety in the past, and all this stuff gets written down, and that's the only thing she's ever shown us as far as proof from all these doctors and past medical documentation, and she's only showed us the subjective part of what her, as the patient, has reported to the intake person or the doctor. Put a 1 in the chat if you understand what I'm saying and you agree. Put a 2 in the chat if you think, no, I'm full of shit. No, not that I'm full of shit, but put a 2 in the chat if you think I'm being a little harsh. And I don't even know how to word this. Yeah, it's like, you see what I'm saying? Like, I really think if she had some kind of definitive diagnosis, any kind of paperwork from an actual medical doctor, she would have shown us. We would have seen it. Not a bunch mostly redacted with these little blurbies from 2, 3, 4 years ago. So it's, yeah, subjective objective assessment plan. Exactly, Minka. You know what I'm talking about. So, I hope my chat's not too far behind. All right. Sorry, I'm just so scattered. I get so mad because I have so many notes and so many things to say, but then I go on these huge tangents and I talk about the new stuff, and this stuff is literally a month and a half old, so nobody wants to hear about that. Oh, when she was the High People Live, this shisha relaxes me. I honestly think she gets some hypoxia. I think that's why she starts glazing out when she smokes shisha, is because she's getting mild hypoxia, which, you know, you will act kind of high when your brain's not getting enough oxygen. Just like her marriage license, exactly. Yep, she picks and chooses what to tell the doctors depending upon who she's speaking with. Like, she probably, when she's talking to the urgent care doctor there in Kuwait, because you don't want to have these mental health diagnoses and stuff. So she probably just, and that's probably why she jumps from doctor to doctor, is because you don't want to get pegged as a diabetic in Kuwait. They were booting their own residents for having diabetes. And I know she's supposed to go get the diabetic education. Here's what I think. I think when you go to an urgent care doctor, when you're on a visa, tourist visa, they will tell you need to get diabetes education. I don't know about Kuwait, but I know they're incredibly strict about even letting diabetics stay in their country. I don't know that there would even be any sort of diabetic education available to somebody on a tourist visa, because you're not going to be there more than 90 days. They can tell you need to get it. But so here's where I need help. Put a 1 in the chat if you think if she paid cash, she could actually find a diabetes education clinic that she could pay cash for as somebody on a foreigner on a tourist visa. Put a 1 if you think she can. Put a 2 in the chat if you think they probably don't have classes like that for people on tourist visas, and the doctor told her when you get home you need to get diabetic education. So 1 if you think she can pay cash somewhere for it. 2 in the chat if you think that's a no-go in Kuwait. I'm a solid 2 just because Kuwait was removing their own residents who were there legally to work and stuff. If they were diabetic, they were told to leave the country. So I'm a 2 because I can't see, even for cash, it's one of those areas where it's one of those fuck around, find out areas in Kuwait. So maybe she could pay cash to a doctor or someplace, but even residents can't get that kind of stuff, even if they pay cash. So I'm a 2. I think she was told she needed it as soon as she got home. But put a 1 if you think that, no, that they, and I don't read Farsi or Arabic or any of those things, so I don't have any way to Google it, to find out what they do and don't offer. I just can't see it. So I'm a 2. But if you're a 1, that's cool. Maybe put a 1 in the chat, and maybe put, if you know something I don't know or where I could look, or if you know somebody that speaks Arabic that could Google this stuff for me, that would be awesome. I have a friend who's actually, I'm going to ask her to Google it for me, but she doesn't speak Arabic. She speaks Farsi, so I'll see if she can figure it out. I'm not even sure she got a true prescription for that insulin. Yeah, and that's something too, yarn enthusiasts, because they are really, really about diabetic, the education, diabetes in general. They're really highly regulated. So I just, or did she go to an urgent care place in Canada and get a prescription? It's questionable. And when you're on, and we don't see her using the shots and stuff, and she's not talking about it. And so, but I'm wondering, okay, here's a question for everybody. Put a 1 in the chat if you think she's using, so I think she's only on what they call basal insulin. It's the slow, long-acting stuff. But it seems like she was talking about a short-acting one, or maybe they were talking about it. So I think she's only on a basal, slow, long-acting one. Put a 1 in the chat if you think she's using it exactly as prescribed. Put a 2 in the chat if you think she's using it intermittently. Put a 3 in the chat if you think she's using it like just checking her blood sugar and then pumping herself with insulin trying to lower it. Do you see what I'm saying? Like using more and using it really, really carelessly. But since it's one of those long-acting, slower, you're not going to just gork yourself the way you can with the fast-acting insulin. So 1 if you think she's using it as prescribed. 2 if you think it's intermittent and she keeps forgetting. 3 if you think she's abusing it in an attempt to get her A1C or her well, you call it a fasting blood sugar. I don't know if she's ever fasted long enough to get a true blood sugar, but we've not seen her blood sugar either. And she keeps saying, oh, it's around 8, or, somewhere between 8 and 10, which PS, by the way, is a fucking terrible number. Not good. Just because it's not 23 doesn't mean it's good at 10. So, okay, we got 333. Yeah, I think Salad Sister, the pharmacist, is helping her, the stuff. Yeah, Havasu Mom. I'm kind of like that too. Like, because she's supposedly on 10 milligrams of that, whatever kind of antidepressant she's on. I don't even think that's a therapeutic dose. Or that might be like the very beginning therapeutic dose for an average height, average weight woman. So 10 milligrams at somebody that's 400 plus pounds it's a non-starter. So, it's almost like a placebo effect. She takes it just so for a performative thing. But I'm with you where they say that I think Salad Sister, the pharmacist or something, is maybe helping out with that. I don't think it's because she likes Chantal. I think it's just because, you know, it's just, her brother. But I think Salad is special need. I really do, as a pharmacist. So, yep. I agree, Port Angeles. I think Salad's sister is somehow helping out, but I question how often she can get that stuff, though, because like I said, it's so highly regulated. But if she could get even a telehealth appointment and then, an urgent care in Canada and just get it called in or something, but yeah, I think she's misusing it either way. She can't wash her face, so I doubt she manages insulin, right, Holly G? And just her hygiene is so bad. Let's see. When she was out in that desert, she was sweating and it was. Okay, I'm going to see if it's getting late. We've been on for a while, so let me see. Oh, I had so many awesome notes, too. Let's see. No. Here, oh, so what went in that vlog, the camping? So I wrote down the notes. So, like, they're showing us around this camping place. We saw this entire camping place in its entirety the last time they were there. Like, what was it, like 2 years ago? So we've already seen this place. So I don't understand. And it seems like he was just really proud and kept showing off the bathroom. Weird. And then she said, oh, next time we'll go with friends and family. It's just the two of us. We're going to be going home tomorrow. It's our second night tonight. But yeah, she said, oh, next time we'll go with friends and family. It's just the two of us. Oh, they're not coming after all. We decided to it just be the two of us. Oh, Mr. Grebo's home. So, yeah, it's like nobody was ever going with them. It was just the two of them. It was before the official camping season started, it looks to be. And it looks like the place was something like, I think it was like 30 or 40 KDs. No, it was like 30 KDs a night or something, which comes out to like 120 freedom dollars per night or something. So, all right. I suppose Mr. Grebo's home, so I guess I should wrap it up. But yeah, I don't think anybody ever planned on going camping with them. It's just, she doesn't have any friends there. Nobody wants her around. I think she is a pariah. I think the few people that still do hang out with Salad have made it very clear, do not bring her around. They don't want to talk to her. They don't want to see her. They just nothing. Real quick, put a 1 in the chat if you think she's too... Hi, Mr. Grebo.
Hi.
He said hi. Put a 1. Yeah, yarn enthusiast. No friends. I don't think they have. There's nobody to go with, and she didn't even want to go because in those communal settings, when you're out, you run into other people. Oh my gosh, where are you from? Da da da. And you just chat and you have a good time. They did not want to be around anybody, so they went in the middle of the week. When the place is basically ostensibly closed. I think he realizes she's a massive embarrassment, and I think she realizes that, she doesn't want to be seen by other people, because I think she does get stared at. Put a 1 in the chat if you think she's that person who has really strong body odor, and, you just can't get real close. Or put a 2 in the chat if you think she's doesn't have a strong body odor, but she douses herself in perfume, so she always has such a strong perfume smell that that's all you can smell is that overwhelming perfume smell. Put a 3 if you think, no, she probably doesn't have a terrible body odor. She keeps herself kind of clean, and she's not bathing in perfume. So 1, she stinks. 2, stinks like perfume, but she's at least aware. 3, no, I don't think she has a terrible body odor because she's aware, but I don't think she's bathing in perfume either. So, okay, we got some 1s that she stinks. We got a 2. You think she's that person that, just, if you've ever been to like northern Jersey, where they just bathe in the perfume, you can't get within like 100 feet of them because they stink. Yeah, I think I'm kind of on the 1. I think she probably has like that old sweat, yeasty skin smell. I think her feet are probably pretty rank too. Yeah, so I think, and bidet hose are down. Yeah, and this isn't me being mean. The reason I'm saying this is because odor tends to come from bacteria or fungus, and you think of the sweat and the skin, the dead skin cells, and if you're not scrubbing it, and then with the sweat and all that salt, it rubs. Yeah, you're right, Granny Noodles. And then it rubs, and that's how those boils and stuff get started. So when she's out there wrapped up in her, polystyrene tarps, sweating like crazy, and then she said the showers weren't working, and there's not much, and so she probably didn't have any way to clean. I really think she probably had I'm just surprised. Okay, this is the last one I'm going to ask, and then we'll go. Put a 1 in the chat if you think that she more often than not is having problems with boils and little infections and stuff like that, and just doesn't say anything. Put a 2 in the chat if you think she's been overall lucky and she's just not getting a lot of under the grill boils and stuff. I think she has problems with them. I really do. And so when she is complaining about pain and making faces, there's something infected somewhere, and it's rubbing and it hurts, and it's, and so I think occasionally when she brings up her sciatica, because we know she's incredibly lazy, but I do think that when she brings up her sciatica, oh, that hurts. There might be something else that's hurting, an infection somewhere, and I think it's just going to do nothing. Yeah, we got a lot of 1s. We're all on the same page. Her teeth, right? Those things are going to drop out. Yep, the diabetes, because you've got so much sugar, you have so many more problems, and you have much less, perfusion of your limbs, and her nerves aren't working. So yeah, I this isn't me being mean. This is me just trying to be realistic about she is just one medical emergency away from a very bad situation, but she's been very lucky. So all right, I'm going to say goodbye to everybody because Mr. Grebo's here. So I guess we kind of touched on everything. Thank you for the super chats. I really appreciate it. I'm going to get, like I said, I'm going to try to get those, they call them lavalier mics, I think. So, okay. Thank you, Granny Noodles. Thank you, Effie Bug. Thank you for being here, Linda, Mary Sparkle, Minka, Wooly, Havasu Mom, Desiree, Yarn Enthusiast, Ariana S., Gina Marie, Jocelyn's mom, WSU. I love my apron. Holly G, thank you for being here. And is there anybody I missed? It was a good time. So sorry I kind of went off on a tangent. Have you noticed her face looking like she's had a stroke? Yeah, I think it's just, I think a lot of her facial deformity, I think a fat does not deposit bilaterally. And number 2, I think her filters, I think she's got her filters, and where things, if you're slightly sideways, it's just not filtering. It's not keeping up with her. But the one thing is, everybody noticed she almost does look like she's starting to get where her mouth is here, and she's got so much weight that she's starting to get really huge cheeks. So, okay, Mr. Grebo, you want to come say goodnight? No. Okay. So, Mr. Grebo says goodnight. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Layla G. Thank you, Blondie, Desiree EP, Holly G, Blondie, Havasu Mom. I said goodbye to Wooly. Okay, I said goodnight to everybody. Thank you for being here. I'm bummed I didn't go through all my notes, but I think we covered a lot. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. And I will try to go live in the next week to 1 year. Okay? All right.